said, "Oh, thank you." Edie turned around and said, "This is the councilwoman, so she'll probably have to keep the yard clean." Went for 40.
We got all kinds of mix. I said we got all kinds of mix.
It went over 40.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
So we got mixed.
They were already cleaning
She was
it out
telling me
today.
it brought 35.
6:45?
Good God, if it brought 35, I'd bought it.
Yeah, we went up 40.
And are we on YouTube?
Yes, I
Well, I
gotta go.
hope it's a homeowner.
Well-
Then. Surely a renter's not gonna.
It was a sound house. Hell, I grew up there. You know, I mean,
Well
Oh,
built.
actually, I do have a.
Carol was one of my friends, you know, growing up.
That's how I knew Mike way before council. It's sold. That's awesome. They had the sold sign yesterday. They were cleaning it out today.
Multiple offers on it.
Well, it's a good neighborhood and it's a sound
They
house.
don't have to leave either.
Yeah, they'll have to
I mean,
face
they can say no
I
at the
bet they
public
will.
meeting. They don't have to leave.
I'm just saying,
It's kind of first.
you know, whoever gets to go second can also.
Well, she submitted hers first, so she should go first. And then,
Oh, then he's probably okay.
How are you?
That was just my thought. I was like, because you know, I was up here. I'm definitely.
I wouldn't go. I'd sit out.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay, well, hopefully that's something you and kids and can work out with.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
And so, that's good news for the citizens. Thank you.
This is the mayor's agenda, City of Hannibal official public hearing, Tuesday, May 5th, 2020, 6:45 PM in the council chambers. I'd call this hearing to order. The first item on the agenda is Karen Burdett, Director of Finance.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. The purpose for the public meeting is to see if anybody has any questions about the USDA grant that we are applying for to purchase a new street sweeper and front-end loader. The USDA grant is, we qualify for 35%. So with the estimated cost of the street sweeper and the front-end loader being a total of $330,000 estimated, then we're looking at a grant for $115,500. So the requirement for USDA is that we have a public hearing in case anybody has any concerns or questions. So since we were closed, we posted in the paper that people would have an opportunity to send in an email to our city clerk if they had any questions or concern. We posted it in the paper. It was on our website, on our doors and everything to give everybody an opportunity. And we did not get any responses. So if any of you have any questions,
Just hopefully you know the process a little better now and it'll go better than the
Yes.
SCBA's did.
yes, and we're not under a time restriction like we were with
Correct.
you, with
Okay.
the SCBA's. Yes, that was very crucial,
Stressful.
and everything on that end has come in and is in service now.
Good.
Have any other councilmen received information or had any correspondence with anyone within your respective wards regarding this?
Everybody wants a street sweeper.
Yes. Definitely.
The downtown Merchantsville, when the present one got fixed and was back on the street, I saw it and posted on Facebook, and they were most excited. So to have a new one in town, they'll be ecstatic.
So once we get the commitment from USDA, then we can go out for bids.
Very
So-
good.
But this is the first process, and then we'll have a resolution later.
Are there any other questions for Karen?
Okay, thank
Very
you.
good. And I guess the public comments section has been covered unless there's anyone here from the staff or visitors presenting tonight who wish to speak on this. Hearing none, then I'll go ahead and call this public hearing to a close, and we'll reopen the regularly scheduled council meeting at 7 p.m.
be senior pictures.
Have they started on Grace Street yet?
No, be about 3 more weeks.
Okay. What's the reason behind it? Weather?
Used to be Holiday Inn Express.
At the old bank. Okay. Because I've got one that's kind of hot too. Yeah, Taylor Street, Ford Street, and this is from last year, but Andy's gonna get some of it taken care of between Board of Public Works and MoDOT. Great, how are you?
I personally seen how you get to it. Go by it, bro. Yeah, we got the double decker. Is council presenting three projects?
Submitted to me one resolution that included all three. Of course. I said, "It's not 28."
Oh my.
I did that.
I get to 54. Yeah, no kidding. You see me carrying gravel in 5-gallon buckets? Yeah.
Reminded me, Priscilla and I were living in Des Moines. My dad had a problem in his basement. Got all the dirt, jackhammer. Those were so small, the house, we couldn't get those air through there, so I had to carry all that concrete.
You were young and strong.
Yeah, well, we're done.
Well, is that the gap? There's not.
Yes, sir.
I didn't want to back the trailer in the yard. It's not this time of year.
Right, maybe August.
And I was like, 5-gallon buckets carried around.
Sure.
Just
And that's all we're, they made an arrest on that,
like
so
40
that didn't
trips
take
and
long.
it went around the back of it. Yeah, that was just from the side. When I went around by the fence by the pool, 5-gallon bucket. Oh, yeah. Hopefully I'll get rid of that. There's a little bit left in there. I want to sprinkle it out. Yeah, it's
Since he's been so said I gotta give you a hard time about being delinquent at meetings.
Well, I mentioned you before the last one. I come next week.
Conference call, they were supposed to have 7 o'clock. Fired off.
It's 28,000. Sure. I was running a job in Continental and I couldn't.
And they I did 28.
Take your own gun with you.
So, yeah.
Oh, if I'd known that, I would have held you.
I guess it's 10 restriction. When's that over? June 1st?
Everybody else, not to you. She's like, well, if I would have known they were all there, I would have held them.
Whatever everybody wants to do. I think it's blown up.
Okay.
I agree.
Lady in time.
Yeah, I'm looking at it because it's
Presenting them, so I thought, oh, okay, they're letting me take care of it.
And at that point, I didn't know what everyone was going to do.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not 100% sure I had it effective.
I just chopped it into the lady and stuff like that. I don't want to question,
That's, well, when I heard that, the first thing I thought was Ronnie Woods. But his was on down.
the only thing we have to offer is service. We don't make toasters or car cards, so when they fail to provide service,
This other one, talk about it.
Oh, yeah, now the director of
PD
operations.
ones.
They didn't say that very well.
See, yeah,
Hopefully we'll actually.
Did you Zoom the last meeting? You did?
Oh, we didn't really have a meeting.
yeah, he's not, I think,
We asked for a waiver. But for FEMA, we just want to
Do that again.
And Grace and some.
And,
That's what, I mean, I don't, drive over on it, so.
Did you ever get my emails?
We're just
Not
trying
even
to
on your
follow the
personal?
rules that they lay out.
Right,
And it won't.
As soon as you call me, I wonder, but when, I mean, because I sent it to both Courier Postmans, because you have like D. Henley and then like Danny Dot something. I sent it to both of those. And your personal, all of them today. And yesterday I just responded to what you sent me.
Well, I was gonna ask who you were fighting with this
He was
week.
like, they pulled out his mask.
On the website? Sorry, did you get the list of council members that time? Remember we asked for the list? You got that one? Yeah,
I got the email with the agenda, council packet. Because they sent it out to what's on the agenda.
Sometimes it's nice to not be at home, especially when kids are out of school.
That's strange. And I even hit like send and receive on mine to make sure it wasn't like nothing was caught in there, because I've been sending and receiving emails all day.
That's all the
So I
time.
thought, well, I'll push that and make sure that it's not hung up or something, and it said all sent, all received. Oh, you weren't? No, not at all. No, no, no. I just can't figure out why I wouldn't go through.
Sure.
Well, if not, let me know, because I was getting yours, so send me another and we can try a test. You know, get there and find that they're not there.
Get the email I sent this afternoon.
From your home?
I got on my Roku TV and they had this thing called Great Courses.
I don't think so. That doesn't sound familiar. What time did you send it? I came up here shortly after 5. Oh. No, because I would have said received or something if I would have got it. Oh, and I would have. I mean, even if you would have told me not to, I would have said, oh, I got this.
Where are they at now? Are they still down
Fantastic. How are you?
south?
I even sent you a plain one and said, let me know if you get this. We're not having much luck communicating, are we?
Yeah. We finally got the alarm working.
Well, that's really bothersome. I'm getting others, so are you. Someone's blocked us from talking to one another.
Walk out there.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
I'm not allowed to talk to the media.
Oh, yeah. How are you? Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Good for you.
certain ones. And never you. Never you.
He called me up there a couple of days.
Oh, you're welcome. It could be on my end too. We'll have to look.
I hate it. I hate it.
So ordered. About 22 questions about property. Do you know anything about that? Who should I talk to?
Andy has some more details, so we are basically picking up the trustee properties as we see it.
Normal or cherry or something.
Otherwise, maybe we should doing those things, and so.
Half listened to the hospital coalition call at 3:30 because I had things to do. I was
You know,
compressed.
something so we can offer to the neighbors if they buy property next to them, bigger yard or something like that. The ability to
Around this, or you want me to talk to Andy?
you can.
Well, what I understand from very good sources is that our hospital next to elective surgery is on busing days. Well, they've got that wing.
That for the meeting.
Okay.
And I heard they were not set up for COVID.
Interested in
No,
acquiring
Blessing went in,
any of
took
the
the fifth
properties
floor,
that
and
county trustees
none of it does.
have.
I won't go there.
Frequently we find ourselves maintaining those properties anyway, and we would like to be able to offer them to neighbors, et cetera.
And I appreciate you telling me that, because I was a little freaked out. And now I'm kind of like, yeah.
But the clinic's closed.
I think there are more coming, but I don't know for sure how many.
I appreciate that.
somebody got me here. Yeah, I get it. I do appreciate it. Okay, good evening, everyone. This is the mayor's agenda, official council agenda, Tuesday, May 5th, 2020, council chamber, 7 p.m. And I please ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Cogdell,
Oh, here.
Mayor Hark,
Here.
Councilmembers Bowen,
Here.
Welch,
Here.
Beach, and Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Here. Okay, there being a quorum present, I call this meeting to order. Councilperson Cogdell, will you do the invocation this evening?
Gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for once again letting us gather together, Lord, to do the business of the city, Lord. Just so many heavy hearts and so much going on right now, Lord, that we just ask for your blessings, Lord, for your comfort and for your protection over this community, Lord, over all of our essential workers, Lord, over all of the officials, the school officials, the city officials, Lord, the department heads, just everybody that is working so hard to keep this community safe, to keep it running, Lord, and just to get the business taken care of. Lord, we ask you to be with the families that are ill, Lord, and we ask that you just bring healing over them, and Lord, that you just continue to protect this community the way that you have, Lord. And we just thank you for allowing us to come together to do the business of the city, Lord. Just give us good minds of wisdom, Lord. Give us hearts of service, Lord. We just ask these things in Jesus' name and for his sake. Amen.
Ask the police and fire chief to please lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Council, at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda as it was posted this Tuesday, May 5th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's carried. Now requesting a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session of August 6, 2019, the closed session of March 3rd, 2020, and the regularly scheduled council meeting of April 21st, 2020.
So moved. Second.
Motions and seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's carried. Next item is request for approval of payroll and claims. Need a motion for the second half, April 2020.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion over payroll and claims? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's carried. Council, we now come to the portion of the agenda. We found ourselves here a couple of times. We're to the portion where we're going to interview two candidates, go through the selection process to replace the first ward council member, Councilman Goddard, who had resigned since he relocated. We have two candidates with us this evening, Trish O'Sheltry and Daryl McCoy. They both are present. We will do the interview with them in the order of which the requests come in, be considered. Most of you should have received information already. They're essentially the request to be heard tonight. They're essentially the resume. I have the standard questions that we have asked before. You all have a copy of those questions as well. We can do this the same as in the past. Ask one candidate to come forward. We'd ask the other candidate to wait outside out of respect. It's not a requirement, but I think it makes it a little more fair. You each can ask a question, or I can ask the questions and you can expand from there. Whatever your pleasure is, but since I'm hearing no opposition, it looks like I get to read the questions again.
Yep, sounds great.
Sounds great. Okay. Okay, Mr. Daryl McCoy's going to excuse himself, and Chief, would you get the side door there for me? And I would ask our first candidate, Trish O'Sheltry, to please come up. Good evening. How are we doing?
Good. How are you guys?
I think we're doing well.
Okay.
All right, it's good to see you here this evening. We have about 4 questions here that we will ask.
Okay.
You can say as much or as little as you want, just knowing that what you do say may spark interest and further interrogatories from that, okay?
Okay.
So first of all, why are you interested in representing the First Ward as a City of Hannibal council member?
As you guys may recall, I ran a couple years ago, and I'm still very passionate about being a part of the process. I feel like somebody who's been very involved in the community, I want to continue to do so, and I want to make sure that our citizens feel safe, that they have the resources and tools and services that they need. And I want to make sure that their voices and opinions on matters come forward and that they're heard and evaluated.
You said in the community, could you give an example of what parts of the community that you're outreaching into?
Yeah, I think economic development is definitely an area that interests pretty much every citizen here. I think it all kind of circles back with each other as far as, jobs, as far as quality of life for those that live here, safety, and all of those things kind of intertwine. So those are some of the areas that I feel some address, and I would be pleased to be involved in those things.
What would you see as the top 2 issues or focus that you would like to focus on in the First Ward specifically?
The First Ward, I would specifically focus on the road improvements. There's some areas out there that need some attention, not anything too drastic. In the First Ward, I think safety is pretty good out there, but I think there's some areas where some increased lighting, when you're out walking late at night, some areas aren't so very well lit, and just making sure that everyone feels safe in the First Ward.
Okay. All right, well, that kind of leads into the second question then. What are the goals and objectives if selected as First Ward council member, not only for the First Ward, but then for the city as a whole?
So I have 3 things that I've really been thinking about over the last couple of years. One is the safety. We have some areas in Hannibal that are dimly lit where there's drug use and crime that takes place. I know cleaning up in some of the areas that I'm involved in downtown, we find needles on the floor. It's not safe. If a kid were walking by, steps on a needle or picks up a needle. So I think safety, just making sure that maybe we increase patrol in some of those hotspot areas where the crime and drug use is taking place, would be one area. The second area, beautification. And when I say that, when you come into town, there's 3 main avenues that you take into town. You go down Mark Twain Avenue, there's a lot of eyesores there. You go down Market Street, there's some eyesores there. You go down Warren Barrett, it's the same thing. Those are the 3 main ways that people get to the downtown area where the events are happening, where Mark Twain and the tourism is. And I feel like if we concentrated and maybe came up with a community plan on how to address each of those areas and making them more appealing and attractive, not only for those that are visiting us, but also for those of us that live here, it becomes more attractive to people who are wanting to bring businesses here and employ people. So I think beautification of those 3 main entrances into Hannibal could do a lot. And then the third would be economic development, as I talked about already, kind of. I have done some networking with some people that work in St. Charles as the president of the Chamber of Commerce that also work with economic development down there trying to get some ideas of what's working and successful with them and how we can modify that here to make it work. I've also met with Mr. Mahaffey and kind of talked to him about some of the ideas that I had as well going forward on that. But it's very important. That's what's going to help us grow.
So if I could ask, what's working for the people in St. Charles?
The people in St. Charles take advantage of a lot of matching grants federally and statewide. They also have done some tax abatements to help get businesses interested in coming, employing, renovating existing buildings, or knocking them down and starting a whole brand new complex, parking garages, etc. They have a population, obviously, which is nowhere near ours, but they have been able to bring in smaller businesses and larger scaled businesses. They also work a lot on industry clusters, is what I would call it, I guess. So any industries that are around them, they go to businesses that supply those people and offer them to come there so that the supply chain is closer for those businesses, and it just kind of makes sense. So they kind of evolve that way as well. I think that there's some things that we can take from those processes and things that they're doing down there and implement here in a modified way.
Okay, sounds real familiar.
All right, the third question, what experience do you have with budgeting and budgeting processes?
So I have a couple different experiences with it. One, I have a nonprofit background with budgeting. I have been involved with the JCs for 17 years or so. There's building a budget for a project such as National Tom Sawyer Days and sticking to that, to building a chapter budget. I served as a state president for the organization, which meant I had to build a budget for the entire state and all the chapters and the programs that we support. And then I also served nationally with the JCs. So taking all of the chapters across the U.S. and building a budget as well. Professionally, in years past, when I lived in St. Charles, I worked as a general manager of a winery, which had a restaurant, a winery, and a wine shop. We employed probably a little over 60 people. It was a very seasonal job. So in the wintertime, we wouldn't have much business, but my job was to make sure that we were being able to pay our bills, to make payroll, to make sure that we had benefits, insurance, and all those things paid, and still keep people employed, and the doors open and lights on. So I feel like professionally and in my spare time, I've done a little bit of both, so.
Okay, and then the last question here, how would you promote economic development for the city of Hannibal? We keep coming back to that.
I think it's kind of important. So my idea is a tax abatement out in the industrial area. That to me would mean that those businesses would come and that they would stay for X amount of years, that they would renovate existing buildings to make it work for them, all while creating new jobs and improving the buildings in the area that they're in. Talking about like the clusters, reaching out to some of those businesses maybe that supply General Mills and asking them to take a look at Hannibal. And then upscaling our workforce and kind of showcasing that we do have the capabilities of having managers, HR managers, safety people, and the workers to support that business if it came here. There's also something that came up in some conversations about a manufacturing day that St. Charles County does. And what they do is they bring about about 8th and 9th grade kids into a manufacturing day, and they showcase what it's like to maybe work at General Mills, what it's like to work in construction, and expose them to some of those trades that are kind of overlooked. If a kid isn't interested in going to college, they don't really get a lot of exposure to those types of things. So kind of teaching them young that it's okay to have those types of careers. And let's face it, right now with COVID going on, essential workers are in high demand. And so just trying to expose them to something that may be for them besides college ahead of time. I think that's about it.
Any other questions, follow-up? This is your golden opportunity. It's not on the list. Is there anything that you would like to explain or express that we haven't asked?
I mean, the only thing I would like to say is that I am from here. I work for a small business here in town. I'm very dedicated to this town. So I feel like this is the next logical step for me. And I would be very excited to work with the economic development team and others to try and expand Hannibal and grow. There's a lot of kids, families that I talk to, their kids go away to college and they can't get them to move back home. And that's because they don't feel like there's job opportunities here for them, that there's not enough money. But there's also studies out there showing that the kids, while money is important to them, they want a quality of life. And I think we do a good job with the Parks Department. We have trails to walk, we have programs to do. So it's not just coming here to work. They want to know that they can have a good life here. And I think that we have a lot to offer, and we just need to showcase it and go after it.
Hey, very good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you
Thanks
so
for your
much.
time.
We appreciate it. Chief, if I may impose upon you, to ask Mr. McCoy to come in if he
He's on
hasn't.
his way.
He's on his way, okay. Good evening, Daryl. How are you?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, ma'am, Counselor. How are you guys this evening?
We're doing well, doing well. We're going to go ahead and follow the same format as we did with the other candidate. We have 4 questions. I will ask questions. You respond as brief or as long as you wish, understanding that the length of your answer may garner further interrogatories, so be prepared for that. And then at the end, I'll give you an opportunity to do a closing, any questions we didn't cover or something like that, by all means follow up with. So we'll go ahead and begin. First of all, why are you interested in representing the First Ward as a City of Hannibal Council member?
Well, thank you for that question, Mr. Mayor. I love my community. I've been an active member of my community my entire adult life. Public service since I was a teenager. The last few years, I have kind of taken a back seat to that. Focused on my career and my kids, and now that they're getting a little bit older, I did get a promotion at work, which allows me a lot more free time at home. And so I thought, what better way than just to dive headfirst in and grab the bull by the horns, I guess, so to speak. I do have quite a bit of experience through the 911 board, the Hannibal JCs, being the county coroner, and that position for 8 years total in the office, a couple years as the deputy prior, and then also obviously with the railroad. But just very interested in helping my community. Hannibal's a great place to live and raise kids, and I want to continue it to be that way for my kids.
First Ward, what is there two, just two, you can name as many as you want, but objectives that you'd like to see or work on and accomplish in the First Ward specifically?
I mean, I think specifically, I want to come in with a clean slate. I don't really have an agenda, so to speak. A couple things that do come to mind that I've talked about with friends and family that live in the First Ward. Obviously, the First Ward being on that end of town, we're growing and we're developing new housing developments and things like that, which is great for the city. Fortunately, a lot of that growth is going to be in the First Ward. When you add things like that, housing developments and businesses out there, you're going to have a lot more traffic. Stardust is a prime example. I live on Lake Apollo, for those of you that don't know, and we've seen just in the last 2 years I've been there an increase in traffic. Kids playing, safety things, that would be a focus of mine. And then also, I think high-speed internet, it looks like that end of town is going to probably be one of the first in town to get that. I signed up for it. I'm interested. Obviously, I work from home quite a bit, so it's beneficial to me. But I'm assuming we'll have some economic development questions, and that goes along with that as well. I think it's great for the city, great for the citizens of the First Ward, and the citizens of the city as a whole.
Okay, if there's no follow-up there, I'll move on to question number 2. What are goals and objectives if selected as First Ward council member, not only for the First Ward now, but for the city as a whole?
Sure. I mean, I think a couple of them I touched on briefly. But just to expand on that, we talked about economic development and growth. First Ward is a growing ward out there. And I think that the more we grow individually, the more we grow together. So anything that we can do in the First Ward to help develop that would be great. We've got a lot of real estate out there behind Walmart that would make for great development, all in the First Ward. Safety initiatives, things like that. I've spoke with Chief Dobson about some railroad-related stuff. I think having a background on the river, being a riverboat captain, and then my job with the railroad provides some unique opportunities for myself to help out in the city with some different opportunities maybe down the road for some development, looking at, rail traffic and things like that. So I think in general, that would kind of be my answer.
Okay, we'll move to the next question, number 3. What experience do you have with budgeting and budgeting processes? And I'm going to throw in there, budgeting your home is a budgeting process. I'm not going to take away from that. I always forget to include those.
Sure.
But if you could expand on that for us.
Sure. Starting out pretty young, I joined the Hannibal JCs and worked my way up through the ranks there. And we do a lot of budgeting for our not-for-profit organization. Expanded on that, took that to Marion County 911 with me, worked our budget, got a new building, always had a balanced budget every year that I was on the board, and took that, rolled that over into the coroner's office. Being the elected county coroner, I was responsible for that office, including all the budgeting aspects of it. And then now with my new job at the railroad, which has been pretty recent, I'll be in charge of all the budgeting, which we've started on for West Quincy. And then I'm also on the regional team for our division, which I'm just a member of. But we sit in on the budgeting talks and processes, for our Heartland division, which is from Lincoln, Nebraska to Memphis, Tennessee. So kind of worked my way up. Still have a lot to learn. Not going to stand here and tell you I'm an expert on budgeting by any means, but always willing to learn and jump right in there. So,
very good.
Have you ever had to cut $1.5 million from your budget?
Not yet. I do have to tell we're being recorded. I'm going to hold that thought. Never mind.
It's not fun. And everything you talk about wanting in your community is wrapped up in that budget. So.
And I imagine, I anticipate just with everything that's been going on recently that this council, whoever you select, is going to have some tough choices to make when it comes to budgeting and finances for the city. With the downturn in tourism and things like that, I don't envy that person, and here I stand. So,
moving back one question, can you expunge on economic development? Your interest, where you'd want to see things go, how to get there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've done a pretty good job. We've lost some business, we've gained some business. I agree that we definitely need to follow up and find out why we're losing or why we're gaining businesses. But to me, economic development, again, I don't have a degree or pretend to be super knowledgeable about the fact, but I see economic development a little bit differently. We have the Economic Development Council, we have the Small Business Association, things like that, that's their job. I know a couple years ago, the council talked about hiring a planner and an economic developer. I personally am glad that they stuck with the council. I think it shows potential clients of the city that, hey, we're in this together, work together, we're a partner, things like that. On the council side of economic development, which is what I'd be interested in, is continuing to do the things that you guys have done. Maintain the infrastructure, keep the city services up and going, things like that to make the city attractive. Let the Economic Development Council focus on their aspect of it, and let us focus on drawing in that business through those other initiatives, things along those lines.
Thank you.
Well, that kind of ties into the next question, so I'm going to ask it again over, but how would you promote economic development for the city of Hannibal?
I mean, I think definitely working with the players, the Economic Development Council, the Small Business Association, things like that, working hand in hand with them. We've done a good job. You know, social media is easier. We've all learned to be in the social media world now. It's amazing what you can do with a smartphone or a web camera. And I think that just as technology evolves, we have to evolve with it. And it seems to me like we've done a pretty good job so far. And I would want to continue that to push the city, you know, with new technology and stuff to promote business growth and development.
Okay, then last thing, this is kind of the open-ended part. Is there anything that you would like to present or give us from your perspective? Just kind of an open-ended essay time for you.
Sure, I'm friends with Tricia. We're in the JCs together. I told her when I walked in that I only had 3 minutes of material, so she was going to be a tough act to follow. But no, you know, coming here tonight, I haven't been around for a while, and I see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of people that I've worked with over the years, whether it be through the JCs, Mike with the fire department, Chief Davis, Andy, all those guys. I look forward to the opportunity to work with those people again. Several of you on the council I've worked with on various different groups and organizations and things like that. And I'm really looking forward to the opportunity. I want to thank you guys for your time tonight and your consideration. And you got a tough decision. Like I said, Tricia's a good friend of mine, and it doesn't matter who you pick tonight, you won't go wrong. The First Ward will be served to the best of its ability.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any follow-ups? Okay, sir. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
You would have a seat back outside. We'll get this taken care of.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, council, as we have done in the past, having heard from both candidates, do you need some time to review your notes or everything fresh in your mind still? Okay, so I will call the question then. Is there a motion to be presented here?
I'll make the motion that we accept Tricia O'Sheltry as the First Ward candidate.
Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second for Trish O'Sheltry. We'll go ahead then and call for a vote and go from there. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Councilmember Cogdell?
No.
Mayor Hark?
It's a tough one. Yes.
Councilmember Bowen?
No.
Councilmember Welch?
Yes.
Councilmember Beach?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
No.
This is why we need the other council member.
Oh, that's all. All right, then. So I'll call the question. Do we have another motion on the floor?
Make a motion to nominate Daryl McCoy for first.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for Daryl McCoy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Councilmember Cogdill,
Yes.
Mayor Hark,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowen,
Yes.
Councilmember Welch,
No.
Councilmember Beach,
No.
Councilmember Dobson. Mayor Pro
Yes.
Tem. So we have two.
Council, looking at the both candidates here, I truly believe you couldn't go wrong
Either way,
in the measure of the grand scheme of things.
both do good.
But as in all things, there's always a person happy and a person not. And just have to move forward from there.
The election comes up very quickly.
Very quickly.
That's true. That's true.
This
There's
is
a temporary seat to be filled until 2021 April. Is that correct? Okay. All right. Chief, one more time, may I impose upon you to ask the candidates to come back in, getting your exercise tonight. Well, that's just somewhat, if you both would be able to come up here, please. Just first police escort, that's promising. First of all, before I put my glasses on where I can see everything again, I want to thank you both for coming. It's very difficult to find people who wish to serve in this capacity. It's one of those jobs that is not always popular. It's sometimes grueling. However, as you all know in your service in JC's, it's very fulfilling as well. And sadly, decisions you make won't always be met with approval. Even people that were truly your friends before, all of a sudden, have kind of lost interest in you. So those things happen. But we did reach a decision. And like I explained to the other council members, and I think they will concur, there wasn't a wrong selection this evening. We found ourselves in a unique position. Usually it's pretty well weighted and the obvious person comes forward immediately, but this evening wasn't then that case. But after the vote, the clerk, will you give me the numbers one more time? Okay, okay. So after the vote of this council, I'm pleased to announce that Daryl McCoy, you have been selected. And we will swear at you or get you sworn here in just a moment. We'll be filling the unexpired term through April of 2021. There'll be a municipal election occurring then. And Trish, I hope this is not the end of your endeavors. And I've seen your dedication and work in the community, and I'm sure your performance in the past will drive you and make you continue to move forward. And I hope you don't forget about the service up here. And if you're truly interested, you continue to pursue that. So at this time, we'll go ahead. Congratulations, Daryl. We'll go ahead and give you the oath of office and seat you here this evening. Okay. Fantastic. Get another gold star. All right. Get to stand over here now.
Here, I'll take one.
Since we're kind of close to the public.
All right. Obviously. State your name. Serious. So, stand here now, raising your right hand. I solemnly support the Constitution and laws of the state of Missouri, and charter and charter and that I will faithfully discharge that any appointment, motion, or discharge of officer I will be influenced only by the commitment and in such matters I will act with impartiality.
Yay.
The new world. Thank you very much. Back.
Just a moment.
Oh, I'm good.
We gotta take roll again?
No, we didn't sign it yet. Now we wait after election to see someone during signing day. Restart.
I dig it. I forgot all about that.
Good thing to know.
Huh? Another 3 years? When there's not a president. Yeah, do we gotta change like future election times? Because this one got.
The time we are going to expire, we didn't have an election.
We're expired.
Ken's my new favorite. Ken's my new best friend.
Knows everything there is to know in about 30 seconds.
I was just saying, don't act like you two are sad. I know you two are
Struck me
happy.
that it was more like a minute and a half. She's bragging again.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're probably Corey.
A minute 30.
They're just glad.
I didn't have my
They don't
clock.
want to be my favorite. They're like,
Later on, switch to
Okay. Are we prepared to go ahead and proceed this evening with the agenda now?
Let's do it.
Let's do this. Wow, I still have the floor. This is wonderful. I enjoy this. First of all, I want to welcome you. My first action here, welcome you to the council. I appreciate your service. You missed the address that I give to new council members when they're elected. So I'm going to do it real quick and get on with things because they get tired of me being so windy. But understand, as a council person, you are here to represent those who put you in office and to represent the citizens, not only the ward, but just the city you live in. You are only as powerful as the citizens allow you to be, meaning that you have no power, only by carrying out their wishes. So anytime if anyone gets the idea that they run things or that they control the city, you're here for the wrong reasons. You're here for the citizens of the community. I'm not trying to sound like an old grump, but it's very easy when you're elected to positions to start feeling powerful, and we don't have power. So we're here to provide service. I have to remind myself of that on occasion, and absolutely, my wife reminds me often that I have no power. I'm just a representative. So
Power at home.
that happens too. So anyway, but thank you. I'm glad you're here.
And the citizens loved her.
Yes, I wasn't. No. I'm smarter than that. Okay, so moving on, I have for a second reading, an appointment, Employee Benefit Trust Board, Bianca Quinn for a reappointment for a term to expire May of 2023, and Matt Lay for a reappointment for a term to expire May of 2023. Do I have a motion to approve those two?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's carried. Next item on the agenda is Susan Johnson, the Hannibal Public School District. And Susan, it's great to see you here. There I am, I'm going to talk again. Thank you for all the help here in the past weeks and the things that you've been doing, not only with the community leaders, but also the school district under your guidance and taking care of the kids that have been out of school. And let's face it, many of those kids who may not have had sufficient meals, you've stepped up, you've went above and beyond. I want to personally congratulate you and thank you for that. It means a lot, and it shows your dedication to the community.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, and the City Council for allowing me to be here. I certainly don't deserve those honors. I work with wonderful people, and I'm very proud to be a member of this community. And I just really think this community has really rallied together, and I'm very proud and honored to be a part of that. And of course, we want to take care of our children. That's what I'm here for, and that's my best job that I have, which is why I'm here to speak to you tonight. You know, the last day of school, it's hard for me to even say that, the closing of school for the Hannibal School District was on March 12th of this year. That's the last time we had children in our schools. And this is, I think, for everybody concerned, it's a hard time, but I know our staff is really struggling. As I've talked to many family members, that's where the food program has been wonderful, because it's kept me connected with parents and with kids. The number one question that I've received since that time, and there's been many of which I don't know the answer to, unfortunately, is, are we going to have graduation? And I think most people on the council, and certainly the mayor, understands that that's a very, very important time, not only as a senior who's celebrating that milestone in their life, but especially, I'll say, as the parents of those kids. It's something you always look forward to. So the Board of Education has worked really hard to make a wise decision. We've sought a lot of input from individuals, and our great community has had great collaboration in talking and making sure whatever decisions we make are in the best interest of our kids and their families as far as safety. And we've made the difficult decision to postpone our graduation ceremony that was scheduled to take place on the 21st of May at 7 o'clock. In making that decision, and that seemed to be the most popular decision, because many of our seniors are really hoping that as we progress through COVID, maybe things can get better and we can have a more traditional celebration, because I know that's what they want. We don't want the 21st to be an evening where our seniors and their families are at home feeling badly, or maybe being a little downtrodden, thinking that they would be walking across the stage and receiving the diploma they've worked so hard for. And so I started some conversations with individuals in our community, and just, of course, you see a lot in media what other school districts are doing. And what I really wanted to get permission from you all tonight would be an honor, if we could do, it would be kind of a graduate parade, if you will. I know that you had some information that was submitted to you to grant permission for that. Both chiefs that are sitting behind me, they've been wonderful. Lisa's been great working with me. Jean McBride at the health department. I could go on and on, but I just really think that that would be an uplifting and wonderful celebration. Maybe not the same as graduation, and it's certainly not to take the place of graduation, but for that evening. It's one probably everybody in this room remembers your high school graduation at some point. So to do that, I wanted to come and propose that to you all because I need to ask permission for us to be able to do that. I could answer whatever questions. I don't know how much I'm supposed to share. I've never really done this so much, so I can talk a lot or I can talk a little, or if you have any questions, and I know there's others in the room that can answer questions as well. I will say this, not only is it important to celebrate our kids, and I don't think anyone here would disagree with me on that, but I think for mental health purposes, I think it would do a lot of good, not just for our graduates or their families, but for the community as a whole. I think it's important for us to lift up those kids. They're going to be our future, and they're going to be sitting up there or in my seat at some point, and so I think that's just important to do. So 6:30 that evening is what we hope to do. We've kind of worked out logistics. The chief of police and the fire chief have been wonderful about working through logistics because we want to make sure we're not violating any rules if you all would approve this. Wanting to make sure that the safety of our graduates and their families are, the most important, and any spectators that may choose to come out. There's a lot of details to work through and a lot of communication, and I didn't want to go through a lot of that with our families before I got approval from you all. So that's what I'm here tonight to ask. So with that, I'll kind of leave it at that. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or like I said, others in the audience would be happy to help me with that. That's what I'm here for.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may, I've got two children that have, gone through graduation. This dad's, worked at project graduation, 2 nights all night long. And I can't even imagine, what these kids are going through. So I think I speak for the council and that we would, fully support, what you're trying to do for the kids.
Thank you so very much.
Well, as the parent and guardian of a graduate this year, or non-graduate, our biggest question is how are we getting the diplomas? Is that involved in this, or is that something that you're going to address separately?
It's a very good question. We did talk about that, and I know some school districts have elected to do that. I think what we're hoping to do would be for that evening, the 21st, to be able to just do a parade. Similar, I think the Chief Davis has kind of used the 4th of July parade, maybe similar, I guess you might say. We would not give diplomas that night. I have not done this yet, but I'm going to be talking to the media sources, seeing if maybe they might be willing or interested in saying the graduates' names on air. I think that would be really nice for our kids and for our families to hear that. And then once that graduation date is over, after the 21st, then we would get diplomas to the kids. And then, of course, the hope is that at a later date, which we're going to be sending out a survey, so you'll get one, and getting some input from parents on maybe what is the latest we could push it back, in setting up hopefully a more traditional ceremony. We would already have given diplomas because some students need those, for whatever their future holds. But we would still have the walking across the stage and handing in diplomas, which I know is the most important thing, as I've talked to many seniors and their parents at a later time. But that's what we would plan to do. So it's more just celebrating our kids. Not so much the ceremonial things. We're not going to have a speaker, those kinds of things. We're just going to kind of try to make kids feel really good about what they've done.
Sounds good. We're excited. Thank you.
Great.
So this is kind of the preamble to the true graduation ceremony.
Absolutely.
So we're going to have, instead of an evening ceremony, we're going to have a whole summer worth of ceremony.
That's right.
There we
That's
go.
right. That's a great attitude
Summer
to
of
have.
2020.
That's right.
Yeah, who knows? This as I'm sure you've seen on social media, this graduation, this class has been very interesting, and so we want to make sure and give them justice with the things that have gone on in their lifetime. So we want to make it a good thing to remember.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see a note on here for barricades at Broadway. Personally, I think it'd be a good idea to have the barricades and police to sit there and such, because I'm sure there's some people who just want to get out and support the graduates rather than, just watch it on the news,
Yes.
So hopefully we'll be able to do that kind of thing. But I think we should have the barricades and let people,
The chiefs, I'll say it that way, plural, have been very, very supportive. And, again, just like I want safety, they do too. Obviously, that's their jobs. And, we'll certainly talk up a lot about expectations of people and certainly hope that they'll carry forth. I can see a lot of grandparents, aunts, uncles, family members lining the parade route, honking their horns, ringing their cowbells, or whatever it is they want to do. Yes, having signage for their graduate, things like that. But I agree with you. I really appreciate that, just because you always want to make sure that, and I know additional information to share with that.
Chief, you look like you're about to bust. And I do see you have a number of officers listed here, so please expand.
Obviously.
We have 180.
So plus they're probably back.
Yes.
But and normally on something like a carnival, but we would have a lead car and follow. Due to the procession, we are going to interview ourselves. So there are going to be 5 officers. Back 3 more. About every 40 officers. Because as you know, the parade's often gaps.
Right.
You have drivers that buddies, slower. You want to be there.
Control. Adult inspiration. I like that.
But I do want to say, really support this. Say that this time. In fact, my entire community, we're going to volunteer our time. Throw that out there. That's something that all I had was volunteer. So this is something officers really.
Thank you, Chief.
You don't have to think we want. Imagine words. You don't get marching across the stage. That's what.
I could pull your heartstrings on. Thank you, Chief, so much. They've been great. I've had parents that I've talked to that they said this is the first child in our family who's graduated and they're celebrating, and it makes you upset to even think about it. But it is. This is a good thing. I think we can all feel really good about that. And I did ask if I could drive a fire truck or a squad car, but they won't let me do that. So I guess I can't do that. I can't say that I blame them, but
Well,
no.
you couldn't do any worse. I mean,
Well, that's right. I am married to the driver's ed teacher, so it should be
We
decent.
already have 180 teenagers.
But no, they've been great, and we'll continue to kind of figure out all the logistics. And of course, I'm eager, if you all approve this, to be able to talk with our seniors and our parents and share this good news with them.
Well, I know there's some other local entities, different businesses that would be more than happy to step up. All you have to do is say when. So
that's awesome.
And I know this, know it in my heart.
Okay.
So I don't think I have to really say much here,
Mayor?
except go for it.
It'd be my honor to make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Thank you.
There's a motion as a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Again, thank you very much for all you're doing.
Thank you, and thank you guys for what you're doing. I know you've got a hard job just sitting here watching some of this, and I have had to cut budgets. It's not fun. It's not fun at all.
Susan.
So I have had to do that, so I don't envy you with that. But thank you for all you do, and thank you so much for your support. And please come out and celebrate the graduates on the 21st.
We will.
Thank you, Susan.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Karen Burdett, Finance Director. Good evening, Karen.
Again, yes.
Again.
Okay, as we had in the open public meeting, we had the USDA grant application that I am asking for your permission for the mayor to sign that application and any further items that will be coming. And there's a lot of signatures that we need for this in order to apply for the USDA grant to purchase a new street sweeper and a front-end loader for our street department. The USDA grant, we hope, will pay up to 35%. Our estimated cost for the two items is $330,000, so 35% is $115,500. This is the first step to getting a commitment from USDA that we want to get in the process. And then the balance will be paid out of our sales tax cap, which is the half-cent tax that we have on sales tax for street improvements. So, and that those funds will be available to do that.
Okay. And that's Resolution 2257-20 to follow. Are there any questions at this time? We're here for the public. Very good,
Thank you.
Karen. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Edie Grotman, DPW Management Assistant. Good evening.
How are you, Mayor and Council?
Wonderful.
I'm here to set 2 annexations for the June 2nd council meeting. The first one is actually a annexation that I set back in February, but shut down. I'm actually coming to reset the public hearing. This is for the Joe Churchill property. It's located at Stardust and Veterans, and then Stardust and Highway 36. This is a 13-acre tract of land that is going to be developed into a major subdivision eventually. It is annexed into the city. This will be heard at the Planning and Zoning meeting on May 21st for the first reading. All publications and advertisements have been sent out. All neighbors within 185 feet have been notified of both Planning and Zoning and for the council meeting on June 2nd. So that is the first annexation.
Okay.
I guess I want to ask for planning and zoning, are you asking people to do similar things that we've done tonight? Ask them to present their, I guess, their questions or their concerns in writing, or
No.
are we going to be open for that?
We are
Well,
optimistically.
optimistically, yes. Yes. And that's part of further conversation.
So when we shot this annexation in February for the first time we tried to publicly do this, we had no opposition whatsoever from any neighbors. So we're hoping that we won't have any objection again. So usually when people get their letters, I mean, it says in letters to call me if there's any questions or concerns, because we're pretty vague in our letter. And so far we haven't had any calls, and they went out 2 weeks ago.
Well, just because of the uncertainty about opening, I just wanted to ask.
Sure. Okay, second annexation is a request from Kevin Willing. This is kind of the same thing. There is no address yet, since they're not annexed into the city. It's just a
Parcel of land.
This property is located also on Stardust. It is between Headlane and Clover. It is a 1.2 acre tract of land. Kevin will be doing a preliminary plat subdivision along with the annexation at the same time. He's been working with the Board of Public Works and Liberty Utilities, all of the utility work to go with the preliminary plat. Everything is fine on the utility side, so we'll be moving right along as well through planning and zoning. This will be a residential location. It is not going to be duplexes. It will be houses. And it also will be heard at planning and zoning on May 21st and then coming to council June 2nd.
Okay, super.
Okay. Are there any questions right now?
Make a motion to approve the public hearing.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thanks.
Thank you all.
Next item on the agenda is Kenneth Reesner, Hannibal Board of Public Works General Manager. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good to see you here this evening.
Good to see you all. We actually have 3 resolutions that's being presented for council approval. 3 resolutions that's covering 5 different real estate agreements. The first resolution is actually the sale of property to Sheridan Valley Communications Corporation. You know, we've heard a lot about economic development tonight, and all 3 of these resolutions support economic development infrastructure for the community. So 3 different sites: aquatic pool site, Clinic Road, and then one near Ash and Market near Eugene Fields. Total compensation from Sheridan Valley will be approximately $26,000 for resolution 2258. And then on the second resolution for 2259, we're going to grant an easement to Liberty Utilities to install gas main for them to do a tie-in project. So it's a positive thing for the industrial park. They'll be able to feed all the lots that's going to be developed off of this gas main. And Liberty Utilities will be paying for the easements, for the survey and legal descriptions of the property. And then the final one for resolution 2260 is the acquisition of property at the Indian Mound substation site. The agreement will be with Lowe's, and we'll be acquiring about 9/10 of an acre for $40,000 for substation expansion that will most likely take place depending on planning and system planning in the 2022-2023 time period. So those are the 3 resolutions that's being considered for council's approval. All 5 agreements have already been through legal review, agreed to by both parties. So I'd be happy to answer any questions concerning either resolutions.
Can you explain the substation purchase, the lot, I guess, why that's a good idea?
Currently, we have a substation there. It's the oldest of 6 substations that the Board of Public Works owns. They thought about tearing down the old substation and rebuilding or going to a greenfield site. This will actually allow another substation to be built directly next to the existing substation. You will not have to take a substation out of service, and it'll bring up the current substation to standards and specs and safeties and controls and expansion for the growth of the area.
Is there any dollar amount on this new substation, or do we even know yet, I guess?
I don't have any dollar amounts yet, so it's being engineered, designed, and thought about. So, and most likely 2022, 2023 time. And the council will be made the timing and the dollar amount of the project as we proceed.
Thank you.
And obviously, what we've heard this evening with annexation and other development in that region, this will be an important leg as part of your infrastructure there. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Right. So there will be.
I guess one other thing. Would that substation feed some of the new subdivision, or one of the new subdivisions that be out toward the hospital?
It would probably be more off the Shin Lane.
I don't really know. I can find out for you. You know, from Lowe's out to out towards the hospital, I don't know. I'd have to go back and check.
Not that important. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so there'll be resolution 2258-20, 2259-20, and 2260-20 to follow. Ken, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, council, we have before us now resolution 2257-20. I need a motion to have the clerk read this resolution, call the roll for adoption.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Resolution number 2257-20, a resolution of the City of Hannibal authorizing the grant application process and subsequent acceptance and mayor's execution of documents to negotiate a grant to be made or insured by the United States of America, USA, acting through Farmers Home Administration, FHA, United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, an amount not to exceed $115,500 to be used for the purchase of a street sweeper and front-end loader. Councilmember Cogdill?
Yes.
Mayor Hart?
Yes.
Councilmembers Bowen?
Yes.
Welch?
Yes.
Veach?
Yes.
Councilmember McCoy?
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem Dobson?
Yes.
I declare resolution 2257-20 duly approved and adopted on this day. We now have resolution number 2258-20 as amended. I need a motion to have the clerk read this resolution and call the roll for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's carried.
Resolution number 2258-20 as amended, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute contracts, special warranty deeds, and closing documents regarding the sale of 3 tracts of real property by the City of Hannibal to Sheraton Valley Communications Corporation in the total amount of $26,000. Councilmember Cogdell?
Yes.
Mayor Hark?
Yes.
Councilmembers Bowen?
Yes.
Welch?
Yes.
Beach?
Yes.
McCoy? Mayor Pro Tem Dobson?
Yes.
I declare Resolution 2258-20 duly approved and adopted on this day. We now have Resolution 2259-20. I need a motion to have the clerk read this resolution and call the roll for adoption.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Resolution number 2259-20, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an easement to Liberty Utilities over certain real property owned by the City of Hannibal. Councilmember Cogdell?
Yes.
Mayor Hark?
Yes.
Councilmembers Bowen?
Yes.
Welch?
Yes.
Beach? McCoy? Mayor Pro Tem Dobson?
Yes.
I declare Resolution 2259-20 duly approved and adopted on this day. We now have Resolution 2260-20. I need a motion to have the clerk read this resolution and call the roll for adoption.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute contracts, special warranty deeds, and closing documents regarding the purchase of real property by the City of Hannibal from Lowe's Home Centers LLC in the amount of $40,000. Councilmember Cogdell?
Yes.
Mayor Hark?
Yes.
Councilmembers Bowen?
Yes.
Welch?
Yes.
Beach?
Yes.
McCoy? And Mayor Pro Tem Dobson?
Yes.
Resolution 2260-20 duly approved and adopted on this day. Council now going to ask for a motion to go into closed session in accordance with RSMO 610.021, paragraph 2 and 12, admitting myself, the entire council, city manager, city attorney, city clerk. And anyone else we need?
Me, I believe Andy.
Andy Dorian. Okay. And that's it.
Make motion.
So moved. Or second. Sorry.
Okay, motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Councilmember Cogdell?
Yes.
Mayor Hark?
Yes.
Councilmembers Bowen?
Yes.
Welch?
Yes.
Beach?
Yes.
McCoy?
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem Dobson?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you, everyone, for attending this evening. Susan, again, thank you. Sorry to keep embarrassing you, but
Okay. Okay. Oh, it wasn't that important. I just thought it was just further justification for it.